Hello, YouTubers. Hey, Chapter 6 of The Outsiders is coming your way right now. I always tell my students when we read The Outsiders, there are three pivotal chapters in the book. Chapter 4, Game Changer. Chapter 6, which we're getting ready to read now. And then Chapter 9, which is a little bit later. Let's read Game Changer number 2, Chapter 6. The lives of Pony and Johnny never going to be the same after this chapter. Let's find out why. Johnny gagged and I almost dropped my hot fudge sundae. Cherry, we both said at the same time. The Sosha? Yeah, Dowie said. She came over with a vacant night the night Tuesday was jumped. Shepard and some of his outfit were hanging around there when she drives up in her little old Stingray. It took a lot of nerve. Some of us was for jumping her right here and there. Her being the dead kid's girl and all, but two men stopped us. Man, next time I want a broad, I'll pick up my own kind. Yeah, Johnny said slowly. I wondered if he, like me, was remembering another voice, also tough and deep and into manhood, saying, next time you want a broad, pick up your own kind. Gave me a creeps. Dally was going on. She said the whole mess was her fault, which it is, and that she'd keep up with what was coming off from the Socialists in the Rumble and would testify that the Socialists were drunk, looking for a fight. And then you fall back in self-defense. He gave a grim laugh. That little gal sure does hate me. I offered to take her over to the Dingo for a Coke, and she said, no, thank you, and told me where I could go in very polite terms. She was afraid of loving you, I thought. So Cherry Balance, the cheerleader, Bob's girl, the Sosha, was trying to help us. No, it wasn't Cherry the Sosha who was helping us. It was Cherry the dreamer, who watched sunsets and couldn't stand fights. It was hard to believe the Sosha would help us, even the Sosha that dug sunsets. Dowie didn't notice. He'd forgotten about it already. Man, this place is out of it. What do they do for kicks around here? Play checkers? Dowie surveyed the scene without interest. I'd never been to the country before. Have you two? Johnny shook his head and I said, well, Dad used to take us all hunting. I've been to the country before. How'd you know about the church? Oh, I got a cousin lives up here somewheres. Tipped me off and make a tough hideout case or something. Hey, Pony Boy, I heard you was the best shot in the family. Yeah, I said. Derry always got the most ducks, though. Him and Dad. So and I goofed around too much. Scared most of our game away. I couldn't tell Dally I hated to shoot things. He'd think I was soft. That was a good idea. I mean, cutting your hair and all that, bleaching it. They printed your descriptions in the paper, but you sure wouldn't fit them now. Johnny had been quietly finishing his 5th barbecue sandwich when he now announced, we're going back and turning ourselves in. It was Dowie's turn to gag. Then he swore a while. Then he turned to Johnny and demanded, what? I said we're going back and turn ourselves in, Johnny repeated in a quiet voice. I was surprised but not shocked. I thought about turning ourselves in a lot of times, but apparently the whole idea was a jolt to Dallas. I had a good chance of being let off easy, Johnny said desperately. And I didn't know if it was Dally he was trying to convince or himself. I ain't got no record with the fuzz, and it was self-defense. Pony and Cherry can testify to that. And I don't even stay in that church my whole life. That was quite a speech for Johnny. His big black eyes grew bigger at the thought of going to the police station, for Johnny had a deathly fear of the cops. But he went on. We won't tell what happened to us, Dally. We'll give you back the gun and what's left of the money, and we'll say we hitchhiked back so you won't get into trouble, okay? Dally was chewing hard on the corner of his ID card, but gave his age as 21 so he could buy liquor. You sure you want us to go back? Us greasers get it worse than anyone else. Johnny nodded. I'm sure. It ain't fair for Pony Boy to have to stay in that church with Darren, so we're worried about him all the time. I don't guess, he swallowed and tried not to look eager. I don't guess my parents are worried about me or anything. Well, the boys are worried, Dally said in a matter-of-fact voice. Tubman was going to go to Texas to hunt for you. My parents, Johnny repeated doggedly. Did they ask about me? No, snapped Dally. They didn't. Blast it, Johnny. What do they matter? Shoot, my old man don't give a hang whether I'm jail or dead or car wreck or drunk in the gutter. That don't bother me none. Johnny didn't say anything, but he stared at the dashboard with such hurt bewilderment that I could have bawled. Dally cussed under his breath and nearly tore out the transmission of the T-board as we roared out of the Dairy Queen. Felt sorry for Dally. He meant it when he said he didn't care about his parents, but he and the rest of the gang knew that Johnny cared and did everything they could to make it up to him. I don't know what it was about Johnny. Maybe that lost puppy dog look and those big scared eyes were what made everyone his big brother, but they sure couldn't, no matter how hard they tried, take the place of his parents. Thought about it for a minute. Daddy and Soda Pop are my brothers, and I love both of them. Even if Daddy did scare me, but not even Soda could take Mom and Dad's place. And they're my real brothers, not sort of just adopted ones. No wonder Johnny was hurt because his parents didn't want him. Dally could take it. Dally was the sort of breed that could take anything because he was hard and tough, and when he wasn't, he could turn hard and tough. Johnny was a good fighter and could play cool, but he was sensitive. That isn't a good way to be when you're a greaser. Blast it, Johnny! Dally growled as we flew along the red road. Why didn't you think of turning yourself in 5 days ago? Would have saved us a lot of trouble. I was scared, Johnny said with conviction. I still am. He ran his finger down one of his short black sideburns. I guess you ruined our hair for nothing, pony boy. Guess so. I was glad we were going back. I was sick of that church, and I didn't care if I was bald. Dally was scowling. From a long, painful experience, I knew better than to talk to him when his eyes were blazing like that. I'd as likely not get clobbered over the head. That had happened before, just as it had happened to all the gang once or another. We rarely fought among ourselves. Derek was the unofficial leader since he kept his head best. Soda and Steve have been best friends. Soda and Steve have been best friends since grade school and never fought. And Two-Bit was just too lazy to argue with anyone. Johnny kept his mouth shut too and didn't get much into arguments, and nobody ever fought with Johnny. I kept my mouth shut too, but Dally was a different matter. If something beefed him, he didn't keep quiet about it. And if you rubbed him the wrong way, look out. Not even Derry wanted to tangle with him. He was dangerous. Johnny just sat there and stared at his feet. He hated for any one of us to be mad at him. He looked awful sad. Dally glanced over at him out of the corner of his eye. I looked out the window. Johnny, Dally said in a pleading high voice that used a tone I'd never heard from before. Johnny, I ain't mad at you. I just don't want you to get hurt. You don't know what a few months in jail can do to you. Oh, blast it, Johnny. He pushed his white blonde hair back out of his eyes. You get hard in jail, and I don't want that to happen to you, like it happened to me. I kept staring out the window at the rapidly passing scenery, but I felt my eyes getting round. Dally never talked like that. Never. Dally didn't give a Yankee dime about anyone but himself, and he was cold and hard and mean. He never talked about his past or being in jail. That way, if he talked about it at all, it was to brag. Suddenly I thought of Dally, in jail at the age of 10. Dally, growing up in the streets. Well, would you rather have me living in the hideouts for the rest of my life, always on the run? Johnny asked seriously. If Dally had said yes, Johnny would have gone back to the church without a moment's hesitation. He figured Dally knew more than he did, and Dally's word was law. But he never heard Dally's answer, for they had reached the top of J Mountain, and suddenly Dally slammed on the brakes and stared. Oh, glory, he whispered. The church is on fire. Let's go see what the deal is, I said, hopping out. What for? Dally sounded irritated. Get back in here before I beat your head in. But I knew Dally would have to take the car to catch me. Park the car to catch me before he could carry out his threat. And Johnny was already out there following me, so I figured I was safe. We could hear him cussing us out, but he wasn't mad enough to come after us. There was a crowd at the front of the church, mostly little kids, and I wondered how they got there so quickly. I tapped the nearest grown-up. What's going on? Well, we don't know for sure, the man said with a good-natured grin. We're having a school picnic up here, and the first thing we knew, the place is burning up. Thank goodness this is the wet season. That whole thing is worthless anyway. Then to the kids he shouted, Stand back, children, the firemen will be coming soon. I bet we started it, I said to Johnny. You must have dropped a lighted cigarette or something. About that time, a lady came running up. Jerry, some of the kids are missing. Well, they're probably around here somewhere. You can't tell with all this excitement where they might be. No, she shook her head. They've been missing for at least half an hour. I thought they were climbing the hill. Then we all froze. Faintly, just faintly, you could hear someone yelling, and it sounded like it was coming from inside the church. The woman went white. I told them not to play in that church. I told them. She looked as she was going to start screaming, so Jerry shook her. I'll get him, don't worry. I started and it did run for the church, but the man caught my arm. I'll get him. You kids stay out. I jerked loose and ran out. All I could think was, we started it. We started it. We started it. I wasn't about to go through that flaming door, so I slammed a big rock through a window and pulled myself in. It's a wonder I didn't cut myself to death now that I think about it. Hey, Pony Boy! I turned around. Hadn't realized Johnny had been right behind me all the way. I took a deep breath and started coughing. The smoke filled my eyes and it started watering. Is that guy coming? Johnny shook his head. Oh, the window stopped him. Too scared? Nah, Johnny had left because... Nah, Johnny gave me a grin. Too fat. I couldn't laugh because I was scared. I drowned in the smoke. The roar and the crackling was getting louder, and Johnny shouted the next question. Where's the kids? In the back, I guess, I hollered. And we started stumbling through the church. I should be scared, I thought. Was an odd detached feeling, but I'm not. The cinders and embers began falling on us, stinging and smarting like ants. Suddenly, in the red glow and the red haze, I remembered wondering what was it like inside a burning ember. And now I thought, it's a red hell. Why aren't I scared? We pushed open the door and ran back to the room and found 4 or 5 little kids about 8 years old or younger huddled in a corner. One of them was screaming his head off, and Johnny yelled, Shut up, we're going to get you out. The kid looked surprised and quit hollering. I blinked myself. Johnny wasn't behaving at all like his old self. He looked over his shoulder and saw the doors blocked by flames. I caught one quick look at his face. It was red marked from the fallen embers and sweat streaked. But he grinned at me. He wasn't scared either. That was the only time I could think of when I saw him without that defeated, suspicious look in his eyes. He looked like he was having the time of his life. I picked up a kid and he promptly bit me, but I leaned out the window and dropped him as gently as I could. Being in a hurry like that, a crowd was there by that time. Dally was standing there, and when he saw me, he screamed, For Pete's sake, get out of there! The roof's going to cave in any minute! Forget those blasted kids! I didn't pay any attention, though. Although the pieces of the old roof are crashing down too close for comfort, I snatched up another kid, hoping he didn't bite, and dropped him, not waiting to see if he landed okay or not. I was coughing so hard I could hardly stand up and wishing I had time to take off Dally's jacket. It was hot. We dropped the last couple of kids out the church as it started to crumble. Johnny moved toward the window. Get out! I leaped out the window and heard the timber crashing and the flames roaring right beside me. I staggered, almost falling, coughing and sobbing for breath. Then I heard Johnny scream. As I turned back to go for him, Dally swore at me, caught me across the back as hard as he could, and I went down into a peaceful darkness.